Joe Biden is a man of his word, and his word is this. He loves the American people, particularly the American worker. So you'll never see a $10 billion contract awarded to Amazon. Oh! Hello there, you 5.6 million awakening wonders. Thank you very much for joining us on this voyage of discovery together. Hopefully we can awaken one by one collectively, and we'll start thinking of new ways of organising society at a local level, at a global level, ways that we can be free individually and collectively, becoming who we truly are. If you don't subscribe yet, why not subscribe right now? Recognise that the systems that you live within are never going to serve you. Your culture is never going to help you to become who you really are. You're going to have to find alternative ways around it. Just look at what your government is doing right now. If you are an American, lying to you plainly, not fulfilling the pledges and promises they made when they were waiting to be elected. Joe Biden, I can tell you for a fact, was saying that he was a friend of American workers and unions and all that kind of stuff. Let's have a look at him saying that.
That's what unions are about, in my view, about providing dignity and respect for people who bust their neck. That's why I created the White House Task Force on Worker Organization Empowerment, to make sure the choice to join a union belongs to workers alone. And by the way, Amazon, here we come.
There's something in me sort of wants to believe him, don't you? Like, isn't there something in you that just wants life to be simple and wants things to be straightforward and wants the president to be like a granddad or a grandmother or some sort of parental figure that you can trust and rely on, that will go and get the baddies? You want to see life in those terms. But the truth is this, the Biden administration has just awarded a $10 billion contract to Amazon. Yeah, here we come. Here we come with $10 billion. For you. This story is from The Lever. The Biden administration has re-awarded a massive $10 billion federal contract to Amazon, even as the president is facing mounting pressure to fulfill his promise to halt such contracts to companies that refuse to remain neutral in union elections. The contract decision came as Amazon responded to its workers' first successful union drive by busting the organising drive that followed. So in that speech in April, Joe Biden was still... April, that's just that. It's only just been April, hasn't it? How can you say in April, Amazon, we're coming for you, and in May say, Amazon, we've come for you, here's $10 billion. Thank you, sir. At issue is Biden's 2020 promise to ensure federal contracts only go to employers who sign neutrality agreements committing not to run anti-union campaigns. That's a good principle, wouldn't you agree? That the only way that workers currently can have some power in their place of work is collectively. Individually, they are disposable. We've done so many stories about Amazon workers and the way that they're treated and the fact that they are disposable. It's only collectively in the workplace that we have power, and perhaps the same is true when it comes to opposing power generally. Amid revelations of Amazon's aggressive efforts to shut down a union drive among its workers, Senator Bernie Sanders last month sent a letter to Biden asking you to fulfill that promise, to make sure that federal dollars do not flow into the hands of unscrupulous employers who engage in union busting, participate in wage theft, or violate labour law. A day later, NextGov reported that Biden's National Security Agency ratified a $10 billion cloud computing contract for Amazon, which hired the brother of Biden's top aide as a lobbyist days after the 2020 presidential election. They're taking the piss out of Bernie Sanders now, aren't they? They just wait one day. Has Bernie Sanders written lately? Yeah, he's saying that we should make good on those pledges to help unions and stand up to Amazon. Give Amazon $10 billion. I only just wrote the letter. That's recognisable as something he might do if he was running like a restaurant in a little town, or just give my brother a job. These are the kind of, like, I understand those kind of ideas, but that kind of easy nepotism shouldn't be at play when you're dealing with the lives of hundreds of millions of people, when you're espousing values that mean something to people. It shows you that there is a total disjunct between what people say and what people do, that there is no integrity, there is no authenticity. Like, my frustration at people that deeply believe in the Democrat Party or particular cultural and social justice movements isn't because I don't believe that there is a real value in what they're saying, that people should be respected, looked after, that there are all sorts of ways of identifying that are significant and important, but just that I don't believe that the Democrat Party care about any of that stuff. I don't believe that they care. And I can see that they don't care because they say stuff like, oh, Amazon, we're coming for you, then give them $10 billion. What does that tell you? The contract for the company's web services division is codenamed Wild and Stormy. Disgusting pornographic name. Wild, stormy, corrupt lies. That's us. and is distinct from another massive Pentagon cloud contract on which Amazon is also currently bidding. A few days after Amazon received the NSA contract, the Amazon Labour Union lost its second union election bid by a 2-1 margin at another Staten Island warehouse after Amazon mounted a furious campaign to halt the organising drive. Everywhere you look, attempts at attaining freedom of speech, ability to organise, ability to protest, ability not to be spied on, not to have your data captured, ability to organise your own lives, have autonomy over your body, foreclosed. Look at what the media cycle covers and observe what it ignores. Do you feel reassured that Amazon, one of the world's most powerful tech companies, and the NSA, a famous spying organisation, are getting together over billion-dollar contracts? Do you think that's going to be good for you as an American individual? Do you think it's going to be good for the rest of us, the citizens of the world? Comments below, please. In effect, while Amazon was doubling down on its union busting, the Biden administration was delivering a massive federal contract to the company, signalling to Amazon executives that he is so far not interested in fulfilling his pledge to use the government's purchasing power to be the most pro-union president. Meanwhile, in Congress, lawmakers are advancing legislation that could give Amazon new tax breaks and give $10 billion to company founder Jeff Bezos' space company. Limitless, unending corruption everywhere you look. Lawmakers are creating tax breaks, another $10 billion for him and that cock rocket. How much money does that fella need to go poking around in space with that ridiculous phallus? Most Democratic senators also voted Wednesday to reject a measure from Sanders demanding that tech companies that receive government subsidies remain neutral in union elections. Yeah, we got your letter, Bernie, and we're ignoring it. Give Amazon another $10 billion. Oh no, why do I keep writing these? I've got to stop writing these by hand. Ow. Amazon first received the NSA contract from the Biden administration last summer, months after Biden pledged to make such deals contingent on union neutrality. But the contract was soon challenged by Microsoft. Finally, an end to these tech monopolies. Microsoft have stepped in, which alleged that its own competing proposal had not been properly evaluated. Microsoft, yet again facing corruption from tech giants. In the interim, Biden could have signalled an executive order to rescind such contracts for employers that do not remain neutral in union elections, but he has declined to do so. So when people are talking about, oh, it's so hard, oh, it's because of the MAGA ultras, it's Trump's fault, it's too complex, there are things that they could do that they don't do. Why not? Now his administration has gone a step further, ratifying the lucrative contract, even as Amazon has been making international headlines trying to stop union drives at the company, as well as fielding allegations that it's been violating labour laws in the process. The details of Amazon's contract and the dispute will remain classified due to an exemption in public record laws for national security. If you do have any suspicions about Amazon and NSA collaborating, you'll never be able to ratify them because that information is top secret. Biden's contract pledge underscored how much power federal, state and local governments have in creating fair conditions for union elections. Major corporations rely on those governments for contracts and subsidies, giving public officials the power to make that money contingent on companies treating workers fairly. One of the things you might be experiencing is a kind of failure of imagination, an inability to envisage a world where corruption doesn't take place. What this story tells us is the possibility to curtail the excesses and corruption of powerful organisations like Amazon do exist, but Biden elects not to do it. It's almost like he wants his cake and eat it. To have the rhetorical flourish and power that comes with saying you will support unions and you'll stand up to Amazon without ever actually doing anything. The Amazon Web Service deal is a case in point. That division, which oversees its government contracting, fuels the company's overall profits. If Biden and state governments predicate their contracts on Amazon remaining neutral in union elections, it would force the company to choose between union busting and massive profits. That was the core of Biden's 2020 campaign pledge. It was only the core of the pledge, just its core, just the thing around which everything else was wrapped. And we've sort of forgotten, haven't we already? The pandemic, Ukraine, Afghan withdrawal, just the dreary drudgery of everyday life, the wearing impact of living in a spectacle. You don't have time to remember that you're being conned. That's why you have to awaken individually, spiritually and collectively, so that you can start to discern what reality actually is. You turn off to the white noise of this stuff. Oh yeah, corruption, Amazon, I get it, $10 billion contract. Poor old Bernie Sanders scribbling out his letters, ever being ignored. But we as individuals have to find a way within ourselves of staying awake, of staying engaged, of watching. Like, hang on a minute, hold on a minute, I got all into that Biden dude, or I got all into this other person. Wait, that was wrong. I have to wake up. Also on Thursday, Amazon Labour Union President Chris Smalls reported that during a White House visit, Biden had told him that Smalls had gotten Biden in trouble. Politics is the performance of politics, not the enactment of politics. As long as you can keep people distracted by a spectacle of apparent camaraderie with people that have a cause, you don't have to actually do anything. It's enough to create a photo opportunity with a righteous person and then carry on awarding contracts to Amazon. You can see the way this administration is going. You can see the America you're living in. You can see the kind of world that we're heading to. And you can see that the people who are in place to do something are not going to do anything. They are going to continue to award big contracts to tech giants because they already work for them, figuratively. And they probably will work for them more literally further down the line. Perhaps not in the case of Joe Biden because he's so bloody old. But he's still got those kids, hasn't he? And I understand one of them in particular has a lot of trouble with his laptop. Biden was likely referring to his statement in April to a union group where he said, "Amazon, here we come," a statement that Press Secretary Jen Psaki walked back almost immediately. Joe may have said some stuff there about Amazon, here we come. Just to clarify, I mean, here we come with a $10 billion contract for you and no changes at all. Business as usual. So there you have it. Politics as performance, as rhetoric. Statements made when it's pertinent to do so. Actions taken that fit neatly in with a paradigm that we recognize only too well. There are no conspiracy theories here. The state, big business, big tech, the media operate in easy, commensurate fashion with one another, intertwining rivers of corruption that exist primarily to sustain their own systems and to prevent the only thing that could ever interrupt their flow happening: your awakening, your intervention. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you feel disappointed in this presidency? Do you feel disappointed in democracy in general? What kind of changes do you want to see in the world? What kind of life do you envisage for yourself? Do you have any hope at all that conventional politics or this economic system can ever produce anything in your life of meaning and value? If you like this video, have a look at either of these two. Give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you don't subscribe yet. Remember, don't respond to the bots in the comments. I'm not them bots in the comments. I don't want you to text me. It's not me. Don't do that. Sign up to my mailing list. I'll tell you all the stuff we're up to, some great events, some fascinating changes all coming this way. More important than any of that, though, is that you please stay free.